So it looks like Xbox Series X has its power back. Let's look into this. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I would like to talk about Xbox Series consoles and their performance in games. So last couple of months wasn't really that great for Xbox when it comes to games and performance. There was a lot of games in 30 frames per second. Some games had unlocked frame rate but never hit 60. And obviously that was a combination of two factors, like poor optimization on developers' part, or just basically out of the gate saying that it's a 30 frames per second, right? And there was a lot of games like that. I mean, Gotham Knights, for example, 30 frames per second. Plague Tale, Requiem, 30 frames per second. Then Redfall was confirmed to be 30 only at launch. And, there was some other games also that just, promised 60 but never delivered. Ghostwire Tokyo actually was pretty unstable in my opinion, even though it offers I think 6 or 7 different modes. Hogwarts Legacy didn't really perform that well either. And lately Star Wars Jedi Survivor is a bit of a mess too when it comes to game optimization. So it's a bit disappointing to see these consoles. And by the way, this is not Xbox Series X console or Xbox Series S console issue. PlayStation 5 had a lot of these unoptimized 30 frames per second games too. So it's refreshing to see that finally developers are starting delivering better optimized games like lately, right? So first off, I want to talk about Plague Tale. Because Plague Tale just received a patch, a couple of days ago, and it runs super smoothly. It's a 60 frames per second, it's pretty much locked, and yes, the resolution is lower than the resolution mode, but it still looks good and it plays very smoothly. And we're talking about both very dense locations in the city, or some underground or open areas with a lot of rats. It's a locked 60 frames per second pretty much, and that's what I'm talking about. Looks like some of the issues we've seen late last year or early this year, a lot of these issues, performance issues on these consoles, had a lot of to do with the fact that developers just didn't had time or enough time to optimize. And here we are 6 months later, Plague Tale is running at 60 frames per second, no problem. It's not aiming to hit 60, it's a locked 60 frames per second. And not only that, it offers also extra performance mode where you can unlock frame rate, and this mode hits, it's a 120 hertz mode, but it usually hovers, I think, between 80 to 100 frames per second. So it's a very well done job, in my opinion, both for PlayStation and Xbox. Xbox Series X actually runs better in Plague Tale, but that was the case also before, so that's probably not much of a surprise. But it just goes to show that if developers have time and have budget and wants really to deliver something, they can spend extra time optimizing for these consoles, and they can deliver a much better experience, right? But that's not the only game I want to talk about today. Another one is Street Fighter 6. Let's talk about this one for a minute, because there's this one is an interesting one. It's a demo, so it's not a final code yet. So just look at that as an unfinished product still. And right now you can run this game at, I think, 4K or some higher resolution at 60 frames per second in the arcade mode. And that's true for both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. And then you've got this new mode that you can kind of wander around the city and stuff. And that mode actually dropped the resolution, but in order to hit 60 frames per second. I mean, you can still be playing at higher resolution, but then frame rate will be locked to 30. So drop the resolution and run it at 60. In my opinion, that's my way to go about the games. But I mean, who knows? Maybe it will change later on. But what I'm trying to say is that like this demo looks good and runs great too, like for the most part, right? There's some hiccups here and there, nothing major. So that just goes to show that, you know, this game, even though I think, when is it coming out? Like pretty soon, but it's already in very good shape. So that's very good news, because that's what I really want. That's what we want to see from developers. We want to play pretty well optimized games at launch, right? Because, you know, this is unacceptable when you've got games that, you know, ship, day one with a lot of bugs, issues. Look at Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I still haven't played that game. I'm just waiting for this game to be properly patched. I'm not going to be, even though I'm super hyped about this game, even that I loved the first game and I can't wait to play this one, I will not be spending money on a broken product, and it is broken. I mean, some people may say, yeah, but it runs great at 30 frames per second. Yeah, but guys, like, but that's not the, well, I guess for some it may be a default mode, but it's not for me. I'm waiting for this game to be properly patched, and I want to see it running at 60 frames per second or close, because right now it's still all over the place. And Plague Tale is an Unreal Engine 4 game too, and it got properly patched. So hopefully Respawn can actually fix that game when it comes to technical issues. And on top of that, like, if I wait a little bit longer, then I will be able to get that game cheaper and stuff. So that's, hopefully they will fix that game too. And the last game I really want to talk about is Diablo. So Diablo 4 had number of betas. I mean, I lost count, like 3 or 4, I think. And there were a couple of days ago, there was the last one before the launch, because it's launching on like early June. So the game is really well optimized, and it was very well optimized even prior to the last beta. So looks like developers really spent a lot of time optimizing for pretty much all consoles, because I've seen some comparisons. PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X pretty much runs the same and looks the same. Xbox Series S obviously offers lower resolution, but it's pretty much locked 60 frames per second too. So that's very good news. And we're talking about like big AAA game, looking fantastic. There's a lot of different effects on the screen going on when you've got like a lot of enemies on the screen and stuff. It's an open world game too. So it's good to finally see some games in good shape, in good technical shape, right? Because after Redfall, after Ghostwire Tokyo, and I guess Gotham Knight and Hogwarts Legacy. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that these games are bad, well, maybe except Redfall. Although I did play Redfall a little bit, guys, and it's not really that bad. It's not as bad as some people portrayed it to be. That's my opinion. I'm not saying it's a great game, and that's still a big, major disappointment to see gaming in such a bad state from Arcane, because Arcane never failed before, at least not before Redfall. So obviously it's still a disappointment, but it's not necessarily the worst game in the world, if you know what I mean. Like, you can still play. There's still some fun to be had in this game, in my opinion. So for what I played, I had a bit of fun too. But anyway, so yeah, guys, Diablo 4 is looking good, both when it comes to gameplay and server state and graphics and performance on all consoles. Like I said, I don't think this game is coming to last gen consoles. I don't think it is, but I may be wrong. I don't know. Either way, or maybe it is. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. Like either way, on Xbox Series X, S, and PlayStation 5, this game runs smoothly, very smoothly, and it's just very well optimized game. So it's good to see that developers are actually putting some effort into the optimizing for Xbox finally too. And let's just hope that's going to be a new norm, a new trend. We don't really want to see these, constantly delayed and still broken kind of games, because it's just that's not fun. I mean, nobody really wants to play broken games, in my opinion, right? So anyway, guys, so that's my thoughts on the whole situation with Xbox Series S and X performance and developers optimizing for these consoles. You know what? Like as a closing sentence, really, Plague Tale Requiem 60 frames per second patch gave me hope that these consoles can still deliver, right? If developers optimize for the consoles properly, and that game shows that very well. And we're talking about Unreal Engine 4 games still, not next gen game engine, last generation, that don't take full advantage of the console anyway. So anyway, guys, that's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.